And we're back with another episode of Let's Play Car Mechanics Simulator 2021. I'm your host, RPG Guy. And when we last left off, we were leveling up. Now, I took it to level 33 because I was a bit confused. We leveled up 3 times and did not get another storyline car. So part of me is thinking that we've kind of technically finished the storyline. I don't want to say more than that because it may not be true, but after leveling 3 times and not getting a storyline quest, where do you go from there? You know, we also have enough to unlock the final upgrade. So we're fully upgraded. There's no more reason to bother dealing with upgrades anymore, as we are fully upgraded. Now the question is, what do we do? What do you do when you get this far in the game? And it really comes down to something simple. Because, like I said, there's no more storyline cars showing up in the repair. Pretty much that leaves us with going to our map here. And we need to go to the junkyard. Because at this juncture, it's going to be pretty much all about... it's going to be pretty much all about knocking out remodels of cars and building what is called the collection. I did this in Car Mechanics Simulator 2018, but kind of stopped after a while, mainly because there was a workshop that just had too many cars, and at that point, you know, you've gotten into an infinite amount of cars that you'll never be able to finish. But jokes aside, we can look at cars here. Now we can see what they come with, which to me is rather irrelevant. But we're going to go ahead and buy a few of these. We're going to take a look at them first. This is a Ribson Starline that's selling for $7,000. Now the other thing too is that if we need money down the road, we can sell completed cars for money. Now we have over 450,000 bucks. Okay, so because we're rolling in a pretty good amount of dough, we don't need to worry about selling cars till we hit about 150k, and even 100k. We could wait even that long. But once we get to 100k, we need to start selling cars to make our money back. And the big thing I'm going to do is when we start seeing repeater cars, we're going to definitely buy those because we can just immediately sell them. So, and that'll move things along here in our attempt to repair. Hinata Kagura SX. So, now we have 3 cars at the garage. In worst case, I restore a car and sell it, and I won't do that on camera. We'll just have to hunt it down again until we get it, you know, kind of a thing. Sakura Takumi. And I think that's literally all the cars there, but we're gonna buy maybe 2 more bodies. So far, no repeaters. I don't really expect there to be too many repeaters. Bull Cape Mk.4. Maybe that'll bump something into parking. Or we literally did have room for it. Katagiri Katsumoto. Car parking. The Del Rey Custom. Again, they are cheap enough that the bodies are cheap enough that we can stack them like this, and it's not such a big deal. I think, oh, no, one more body. Looks like a Tempest Magnum from the last yeah, Tempest Magnum. All right, that's the last car that I think I saw. So I don't see any other cars here. Yeah, we're gonna leave without parts because at the end of the day, too, we're looking to upgrade the performance of any car we plan to keep to maximal. So that's a thing in and of itself that will need some explaining once we get to that point. I'll explain it as we work on a car. But what it pretty much means is any car we plan to keep, we want to max out its performance. There's no reason really not to, and then it'd be interesting to see how well it, in a sense, performs. Because that's kind of half the fun. Let's see here. So we have a Bolt Cape. We're going to have a lot of different cars here. And eventually we'll have to organize them to some degree. And we have a lot of Sakuras coming in as well, I believe. But right now there's no point in worrying, or rather even stressing much about any of that. So which one we go for first is going to be the $1 million question. That engine block looks bad. This one actually looks repairable. And as you can see, we can't really test much to get XP. So you're not going to get XP in this particular manner. But what we will do is we will be taking apart pretty much this whole thing. We need 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 rocker arms. Because I just don't think it's worth repairing. And and like I said, there's going to be a lot of things that we will look at, and any chance we can repair a part, we will, even if it means that we're replacing it with an upgraded one, because it'll give us money back on our purchase. So there is going to be a lot of finagling and fooling around with the mechanics here of things we haven't really been fooling around with. So we'll take this all apart. And then we're also going to get into things we know we can't repair, which tend to be things like piston rings, rubber parts, or certain types of wheels, specifically rollers, idle roller parts, and whatnot. There is a lot of parts in 2018 you just could not fix because of the nature of the part. So because of that, that's going to leave us to having to do a lot of random kind of purchasing to see what we can and cannot replace. So yeah, that too is as well as is going to be a thing. Get that out of the way. All that stuff I clicked on I know is not repairable. Or it's missing, so... There's no way any of that's good. See if we can repair that. Alright, let's lift up the car. Let's put in 4 of these. Because there's a chance that this is repairable. We know there's a better gearbox that we can buy. Most likely. Now, here's the deal, is no car cost more than about 10 grand. So, I want you to just keep that in mind. Now, we haven't bought any parts yet, so we could, I think, figure out how much we spend on this car. But I've noticed, too, in the past that not many people really cared about that so much. It was more just seeing the cars built and their stats. So, that is a thing. I'm going to take notes anyway, just for you guys, before I start buying shit. So you can get an idea of how much we're spending. It's going to be more of a before and after expense, because right now we're at $436,949. So we can see, we can write that in. So 436,949. Wish I had that in my bank account right now. Could do a lot of good with that. Alright, let's go ahead and lower the car. Probably have to replace that. And let's take out this engine block. So the idea is that we repair this car in parts, so to speak. Like I said, even if it's a part we don't need to put back on the car, we have a means to at least get this done. And this will get us some money back. Okay. Really quick. Oh, that engine block is toast. So we need to buy a new engine block. Okay. Here we go. We're checking. We know there's no rings here. I think there's going to be any fuses or relays. That's going to be in the gearbox section. Again, the rest of this we got to get elsewhere. Except the gearbox. I think there's only one of those. I might have hit it twice. Oh, wait a minute. Well, I guess I didn't buy one of those. Battery. Fuses in there. What the heck? Just because I know we're going to need that. Let's start with that. As you can see, we have a working water pump. Pretty much we want to be here. No crank. That in there. It's gonna come up. There. And there. Nice. Put these on. Pretty much got all this. I did buy one of those. God damn it. Okay. We're slowly putting in our super-powered engine. Oops. Okie dokie. Do this, shall we? As we go down the line. I should cover that. The rest of this is going to be pretty much over here. So let's put this back. Or rather, since we since we had to buy all of them, we'll just install them then. These in. All right. We're going to go ahead and move that there. And looky there, working engine. Yeah, wait, it's not complete. Sweet. And with that said, we can go ahead and put all the fluids in at this point. And then we move on to the next step, which is the underbelly, pretty much, of the car. And that's relatively straightforward. Because really what it comes down to is we'll strip all the major parts off and repair as much as we can. But any parts that are missing in both areas or just we couldn't repair, so it ends up being missing in general. Luckily for us, we can just double purchase because they're mirror sides of each other, right? So that, the engine is technically the hardest thing to repair. It's got the most parts accustomed to it. The other thing too is that there's no point in trying to spare bushings. So another element of it is if we can get a proper bushing count, so to speak, if we can get a proper bushing count, we can just buy all the bushings we need for the front part of the car and the back part of the car, respectively, and not have to worry about constantly buying freaking bushings. Now, some car backs are a little easier to do than others when it comes to the bushing count, but for the most part, I'm not too worried about it. It looks like there's just 2 regular bushings back there, so we'll just add the 2, because it looks like they're just on those suspension arms. Okay. I'm happy to say that looks like a relative... Oh, no, not quite done. I think I bought 2 bases and not a lid. This one I bought a lid, but I guess I didn't. I did buy it. Oh, you know what it was? I repaired the old one, I think, and whatever. Okay. Let's look at the underbelly. We can probably start with the exhaust because it's the exhaust. The other thing we need to do too is take off all the tires because we got to redo the tires as well, which we're going to do after we do the exhaust and the gearbox and whatnot. Because there's no point in repairing the underbelly of the car if we can't put a tire on it. And it looks like the rims are going to possibly be repairable, which is good. Tires we can't repair, but might be able to repair these things. There's also the means to repair brakes, braking apparatus, specifically specifically, I think we can repair brake drums or calipers or something, but we'll look at that later. And we'll decide if it's even worth doing, because there's an element of it that may not even be worth doing. Okay. Could not repair that, so we'll need to buy a drive shaft. I think for the most part we're done with the top tier stuff for the time being, because I don't believe we can get better versions or higher end versions of this stuff. So let's deal with the tires real quick. Well, first thing we gotta do is separate these parts. And then we know how many tires we need. We'll figure out rims in a minute. Nice. Okay, go to the drive shaft. $205.75.14. I'll just wait for them all to be mounted here. Not like the last time where we kind of ran on auto, and we could automatically do it, so. Unless they're really close. It's just that they made mini games out of doing this, so yay. Alright. How many bushings? 2, 4, 6, 7 in the back. So we need a total of 14 bushings. Alright. Let's just take one side of this apparatus apart here. I want to check something. That's as far as we need to go for what I want to check. I believe it's just brake disc repair. And I think the brake discs are so bad that it's not an option. Okay. At least the cylinder's repairable. Everything else was a fucking disaster. Okay. Which is fine. I get it. Okay, so these things can't be repaired here. They're like rubber gauged pieces to a degree, so same with the sway bar. As well as the big sway bar we can't replace either. We need to dismantle this, but we need two front springs. We need 2 of these. 2 of those. These are so far gone. Well, let's just assume they're bad. 1, 2, 2. Yeah, this undercarriage is in worse shape than the frickin' engine was, probably pretty much. The one thing we want to try to salvage is the crossbar, though. That's the most expensive part underneath the car, and you could argue the knuckles as well if they are repairable. But it doesn't look like they are. Okay, other side. So these look where this looks repairable. This looks repairable. As is this knuckle. We'll figure it out in a minute. Again, I'm not gonna buy anything until I've actually gone through the effort to rebuild what we have here. It might be repairable, but let's just put it on the list just in case. Alright, so the whole suspension below is gone. Oops, that's a fail, so whatever. There we go. We're only in the need of 1 caliper. Nice. And it looks like we're going to need only one lower arm. And one knuckle. Steering racks aren't cheap either. And probably the most expensive part we were able to fix. Okay. I don't see the brake disc repair being that big of a deal. The reason I don't is because you're saving very little, I think. We'll check it out. This takes a while to go. I guess I could have had this going while I was repairing something else. But ultimately, I don't think it's worth it. It's a neat little thing to have in there if you're trying to nickel and dime every element, but I don't know personally if it's really going to work. And yes, I know I haven't done the shocks yet. Okay, so we do need the upper suspension arms. One of those, one of those, one of those. Okay. Only need one of those. Two of those, because you can't repair them. Two of those. I think I needed two of those. That. That. I need to go assemble those. No, wait a minute. Bottom suspension arm, I think I only need one. I only need one brake caliper. Definitely need both brake pads. Both two of those. One of those. One of those. One of those. Oh, I didn't need the steering rack. No! Always assume you're going to have at least $3,000 in fuck-ups because you accidentally bought something you didn't need. Luckily, right now, I don't think we've broken 100 or 1,000, so hopefully I can keep it that way. Really quick, we need to mount our springs. This is going to be a little bit of a longer episode, too, for you guys wondering at home. And primarily, the reason for that is straightforward. Because I want to make sure I can do this in one go, which I believe we can. I just had a little bit of a hiccup, and we had to go shopping for cars, so that ate up some time. My goal is to have this car done and tested before the end of this episode. Be nice. Something's missing because we can't put the tire on. That's what's missing. That's how we know we're done pretty much with one side of the car. Looks like we finished the front of this car. For what it's worth. Alright, let's head to the back. It's going to have a list of everything that we need. We'll buy it as we need it. Again, the only thing I can think of that's left is that we can buy of custom stuff is going to be the fuel, the thing that goes inside the fuel tank. Which is the fuel, whatever it's called. It's like the sending unit or whatever. Like I said, any of this we can salvage, we will. Fuel pump. There we go. Now all that's left is the back tires, and then the frame of the car, and then testing. So one of those is good. One of those is good. One of those is good. If I luck out, we'll get both leaf springs here. The plates, rather. I think we got both of those entirely. The most expensive part we were able to fix, the back spring. Okay, and yeah, it's not a ventilated disc, so we can't repair the discs, so. We can put the drive shaft back on. I think we fixed one brake shoe. I don't remember seeing either of those in there, so we'll grab that. We fixed one of those. I think we fixed both of those, so we can get rid of that. I didn't see either of those in there. I think we only need one U-bolt. We don't need any of the plates. Two of those. I don't recollect seeing that or the springs. And you can't repair the springs anyway. I think we repaired one of the caps. Can't repair those, so I don't know why. And then fuel pump. Okay. Let's see what we actually need to buy. So we had bought that the bushing earlier. Yeah, so we're good on that. Yeah. Pretty good. Nice. Pretty much spot on with what we needed for the back area, because there's less going on back here. It's one of the few cars that has a lot less busy BS going on in the back. Whereas some of the more modern cars in this game have a lot going on in the back, and it's rough. Alright. That was the only repairable piece was that front bumper. Let's see if we can even repair it. Nope, I fucked it up, so nope. So it needs every body piece possible. Before we do that, let's move it to the car wash. But you're gonna get the engine wet. I don't care. The game doesn't care. It's called You Wash It Carefully, then. Look at how shiny it is. Okay. We don't even need to make a shopping list. We just need to get to the body of it. And this is a Bolt Cape Mk.4. And it literally just needs about one of everything. But one thing we could do... We'll go in here. Front bumper. We don't really need this particular hood because you can see there's an opening. And it's for a special kind of engine, which we technically don't have. So we'll ignore that. So we got pretty much the bumpers and the light. Oops, the bumpers and the tail lights, and all the lighting. So we need the doors, the hood, mirrors. Put a big hole in our pocket, didn't it? And I don't know. Let's do a Maryland license plate. Why not? That's for neeps. All right. So this car mechanically is done. So looking good. We're not done with the car yet, though. We need to do a few other things. First of all, we need to go to the test path. Not to test it, mind you, but we need to probably do alignment checks. Move it over to the paint shop. Lots of livery options here. I'm probably going to take the ugliest option for the livery, and the reason being makes sense to me. Is the reason I would do it is mainly because there are better versions of this car out there. So it just makes sense to kind of do it. That way, when we get other Bolt Cape Mk.4s, we can use a different livery for them that looks better. But yeah, we'll go with this guy for now, just because I think it's the ugliest looking one. Let's paint it. Alright, look at that car. Because the car is a more metallic color anyway. It should be metallic. Let's go to... Where's the dynamo? Dyno, there it is. So this is the big numbers we really want to look at here. Let's give this a start. So you can see what the factory power is. We want to actually see what the measured power becomes with all the upgrades we put in it. Now, there's a lot bigger of a gap than it did before than it would be with what it has. So we gave it a plus 34 horsepower at 170 whatever NM means, pneumatic whatever. Now the F-Mill is probably arguably the worst engine to put inside a car. So this is the baseline for our Bolt series, our Bolt Capes Mark IV. So that's interesting as well. Let's take it back to the car lift. And let's take a look. So here's the deal. Oh wow, they break it down right here. Parts value 17,752. Body value is 11,622. Performance parts value is another 13,174. Condition bonus is 13,604. The buy price of what we bought the car for was 4,424. So the sell value is 56K. It doesn't really tell us what I want to know, though, does it? Well, I guess it does. I guess it does, because if you add the 17 and the 11,000 together, that would be how much we spent on parts. Plus another 13,000 in performance parts. So we spent roughly $42,000 on parts. $44,000 on parts. A condition bonus I don't think matters. That's the condition it is in now. So we spent about... Well, okay, so really it is kind of there. Sell value is 56K. The condition bonus, I guess, is going to remove the performance part value. I don't know. The numbers don't make sense to me that much. As it just says the part value. It doesn't really tell us how much we spent. But our profit is 51K. So here's what we'll do is we can look at how much money we have left. But before we do that, we need to sell off all the old parts here. Okay, so we went from 436,949 to 413,510. So what does that really kind of break down to? So let me think what the math here is for that. Let's actually just do it on a calculator to make it easier. So 436,949 minus 413,510, 23,439. So if we look back again at the car specs here, so 23,439. Yeah, I don't know how they... So that's how much money we ended up spending on repairing the car. And then we also need to add in the 4,424. So it cost us $27,863. So the profit of selling this car would be roughly half of what we spent when you really think about it. So that should give you an idea of the expenses to do this. Now, there is one element, you know what, I completely forgot. And that's the interior. Oops. I was getting ahead of myself, wasn't I? We're actually technically not done yet, so let me just do the interior really quick. Those are Mark 7s, which we have a Mark 4, so I'm not going to do that. We'll buy that. Bonus part. Okay. There we go. And it gave us a little bit more at the end here, but we spent a little bit more too, so there we go. I'm not gonna do the math again, but it's about 27K is what we spent to restore this car to its former glory. And one more thing that I want to do for you guys, because you've been so patient, is, let me see here, speed track. Take our newly finished bolt. Now, we've not done any of this. What I'd like to do is hit up a speed track, but what I'd also like to do is hit up a test path as well. Okay. What was it? 208 kilometers per was our top speed, or 108, or whatever it was. Sweet. And let's do the test track. Oh yeah. Okay. Simple enough. So there it is. The Bolt Cape Mk.4 F-Mill is done. It's a nice car. You know, it's a nice old looking car. Look at that. It tested everything for us. So you can, it looks like you can even do a manual test through that track, which is actually kind of cool. That's probably the way you have to test it before you can test it here at the garage. That's one way to probably do it. We never really ran into that problem, so that's something I'm worried about. So that concludes the Bolt Cape Mk.4 F-Mill series. So we may have to rebuild another one of these way down in the future. But the perk of it being is that it should, if we see another F-Mill, we're just going to repair it with the intent to sell it. This is straight up for our collection. And there's no reason not to. It's a really good looking muscle car, even though it lacks the muscle engine. It looks like it has the more default engine that would have been in the car for the time period it existed in and whatnot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move this to parking and get it out of our shop, which is nice. We'll do the star line later. What's this? We'll do these two because I think they're both. No, I don't think they're both the same car company. That's okay. We'll put it in order two. I don't think I'm going to work on it next, but we'll put it in there. Clearly, it's a newer model looking engine. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/JackDarStudios for more live gaming action. And when we come back, we have two more cars to add to the collection before we start getting into some of the big ones. And the reason I'm saving the bigger ones for last is if we need cash, I can sell those cars. Kind of voiding the episode, but that's fine. We'll worry about it as we need it, as this is going to be, it looks like a rather cheaper model to fix for the modern style car. This one's going to be a much more expensive version of a modern style car to fix. From the look, well, it's no, maybe not. It's only 14. It's actually very similar to the other car. You're just facing different directions. Oh no, though this is a slightly different car. That's a 14 and 14 stock. This is a 14B. So there's differences between these two engines for sure. And it's all stuff that we're going to have to figure out when we get there. So I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/JackDarStudios for more live gaming action. And when we come back, we work on a new car, and I can't wait to see it. So thanks for stopping by, guys, and we'll see you guys next time.